Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima. On today's show, we will review the weekend Serie A action. The Milan derby is won by Milan, a double over Inter for the season. It won't have much impact on the Scudetto race, but it's a famous double for Milan. Napoli win again, but it's the top four, which is really the exciting part of Serie A right now. And that is because Roma lose, Como win, Juventus win, which means there's only 1 point separating those three teams ahead of Como playing against Roma this weekend. So it's all up for grabs now in the top four race again. We'll also preview Atalanta versus Bayern Munich in the Champions League. And we'll have our usual Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week. We've got some more crackers there. And if you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week without any ads, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode, plus our Thursday midweek review show, interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP, become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month. You can become a patron on YouTube memberships as well. youtube.com/it's a footpod. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify. So wherever you consume us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, we'd really appreciate if you give us a follow and subscription to us. If you give us a like, a 5-star rating, all that kind of stuff, it really helps us to grow. And also do follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Okay, let's get into today's show. So let's start off with the Milan derby. Milan win 1-0 again, as they did in the return fixture earlier on in the season. When Milan won that game, Inter after that went on this incredible run where they took 43 points out of 45 going into this game. But Milan managed to win again. 7 points now separates those two teams with 10 games to go. It's unlikely to have much impact at all on the Scudetto race, but it is still a big win. And this is a big rivalry, of course. It is the derby, so it's a massive win for Milan. So let's talk about this first from the Milan point of view. I think the first point to make is that tactically, Allegri won this game. I thought that Inter were, as amazing as Chivu has been this season, I think there has definitely been a common theme that in the big games against the big teams, when we've seen the results, although I thought they were unlucky at the start of the season in those big games, I think in the more recent big games, I think Inter have been a bit naive the way that they played. Certainly in this game, this is the most naive I've seen Inter, especially given that they play playing against a team like Milan, like Allegri, who sit deep and counter-attack. I thought Inter were very naive, very open on the counter-attack. And as a result, I think Milan deservedly won this game.
It's another exam failed in a big game. It's for Chivu. Again, I think the problems that we see have been there since match day one. Pretty much since the Torino game, which they won 5-2, if I remember correctly. They're carved way too open through midfield. When the team is not, like, the way they're balanced, they're carved open way too easily. And this is something we've seen since match day one under Chivu, because of the fact that he likes to press as high up as he does, because of the fact that he likes to put press and move as vertically centrally as he does. The lesser teams in the Serie A aren't able to absorb that. And that's why Inter have won as many games. But equally, in all the big games, the coaches and the quality on the pitch and on the bench is so good, tactically and qualitatively, technically, that it's like water against the stone. What do you call it? Against a brick, a mountain. Nothing happens. It's just water against a mountain. They're not going anywhere. It just splashes everywhere. And And this has been the common recurring theme. For me, they made life very easy for Milan, and Allegri had a very calm night on the sidelines. He didn't even need to get upset and throw his jacket. He just needed to just chill and enjoy the best seats in the house, because they were just not. Milan was so tactically strong, so solid, and Chivu and Inter walked straight into Milan's trap. And one thing they were able to do, I mean, if you look at the chances that Inter created, they didn't create them. Those chances came after unforced errors by Milan. Bad misses, of course, by Mkhitaryan and Di Marco, but nonetheless, that wasn't a result out of Inter creating anything. It was a result out of unforced errors. Whilst Milan scored a wonderful goal by carving Inter open. People want to talk about Luis Enrique, and yes, he is a defensive liability. He's ball watching. He's standing on his heels and too reactive. Doesn't understand that he needs to defend. But it's not just him; it's all of them. The midfield was again wide open, and that is a recurring issue. And Milan knew this, and you could see that was exactly what they wanted to do. So. No, credit to Allegri, credit to Milan. And they win 2 in a row for the first time since 2010, 2011, if I'm not mistaken. They do the double over Inter. Back then, Allegri was the coach as well. It's, he knows how to handle these matches. He knows how to manage these games. And that's what I thought as well. I mean, the game was effectively over after Milan scored the first goal. Because after that, it was just basically a transport to the 90th minute.
I thought that Allegri saw the weaknesses of Chivu's game. I think he spoke about this after the match, and I actually thought it wasn't so much the midfield. I thought it was the line was so high, that they were putting these really quite simple long balls over the top, from left to right or right to left, and getting in behind way too easily. I thought it was very, very simple for Milan to play into that open space. It was almost like watching. I remember when I used to play, like as a youngster, when you're playing really young football, like under 12s, under 13s, and basically everyone is dumb, really, the way that they play, and they go up onto the halfway line. It was just so simple. I used to just get on the ball, little chip through ball over the top, and one of our fast strikers would have acres of space to go into. And I would just think every game, they can't be this stupid. They know that there's all that space behind them. They know that, because we know the players against, they know that I'm a good passer. I'm going to get the pass right. They know that we're going to get in on goal. Why do they keep pressing up to the halfway line? And that was reminding me of last night, because it's like, well, they know that Milan have got pace. They've got Pulisic. They've got Leao. They've got players that are dangerous in the counter-attack. And then they've got, in Luka Modric, an absolute class act. And they fell for it. And I want to speak about Luka Modric, because Luka Modric, 40 years old and still running the show in the Milan derby. And we can talk about, yes, and I know a lot of people will and did after the first game, this is the decline of Serie A and this and that. I'll tell you right now, Luka Modric at 40, nearly 41, is going to be a class act still at the World Cup. You watch, because this guy is just, honestly, we're living in a, he's one of the few reasons I still want to watch football now, Luka Modric, because we are in an awful era, technically, and in terms of individual. And Ruud Gullit said it best. He says, today, it's become footballers are just there on the pitch, trained to win corners and throw-ins. He was talking about an awful match between Arsenal and Chelsea, where all the goals were scored off corners. And that was literally it. They were just footballers just going on the pitch, just trying to win corners, carrying out tasks. And then you see Luka Modric, and you see what football should be. You see someone there on the ball. You can't get the ball off him. Whether it's a short pass, a medium range pass, a long range pass, his brain. His ball control, his technique. The guy is just he's just a god. He's just watching him. It's just pure joy. And I just say to everyone, especially the real football fans, especially those who are old enough to remember when football wasn't winning throw-ins and corners to win games, like just cherish him, enjoy him, because we're not going to see many of these players anymore, unfortunately, with the way that football's gone. And watching him at 40 years old still play like this, just amazing. And it just again raises the question, with Luka Modric, are we looking at the best 40-year-old footballer ever, or the best 40-year-old outfield player ever? And I think there's definitely a debate to be had on whether Luka Modric is the best 40-year-old outfielder ever, in terms of the quality and the levels and the consistency that Modric is showing at his age. There's been players that have played until 40 who have been, absolute legends. You could say like Cristiano Ronaldo, you could say Francesco Totti. Some people would put these players higher than Modric, but the levels that Modric was playing at the age of 40 was higher than the levels that Ronaldo playing in the Middle East, or Totti when he was just walking around the pitch for Roma at 40. So I think there's a debate to be had on that.
I agree. I think the out of Maldini, Zlatan, Modric, it's out of those three in terms of the highest level when playing at the age of 40. Zlatan was unbelievable at 40. Maldini was fantastic at the age of 40. I think those three at the level they played at that age is unique. They were absolutely outstanding.
I've put just to come in there for our socials. I've put together a top 10 40-year-old footballers of all time. Outfielders only, I have to stress. So I have, and I still have him as number one, Paolo Maldini, because he won a Champions League at the age of 39 as a key player and was still into his 40s. I remember him dominating Arsenal at the age of 40 in the Champions League. Then I'd probably have Luka Modric at number two. Then I have Javier Zanetti, Ryan Giggs, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Then I've got Cristiano Ronaldo. He is still scoring a lot of goals, even though he's playing in Saudi Arabia, although maybe not for much longer. He's still scoring a lot of goals for Portugal, in qualifiers and stuff. So I think you have to give it to him, although we'll see if he can do it at the World Cup when it matters. Thiago Silva, incredible, still at the age of 40, Club World Cup. Pepe was amazing, still in big matches, big tournaments in his 40s. Then you have to go back a long way. Stanley Matthews, who actually retired at 50 and was still playing like top flight football in England. And then Pietro Viecowood. Do you remember him in Serie A at the age of over 40? And he still couldn't outpace him at 40. That guy was so quick, so physically good. He was still playing, I think, for Piacenza at 41, I remember. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably my top 10. But I think Modric is starting to push Maldini now. I think the difference is that Maldini was still doing it in the Champions League. But Modric, like I said, at the World Cup, watch out for him. I think he's still going to be a class act at the World Cup.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that list. But I personally think Zlatan, Maldini, Modric are head and shoulders above everyone else at the age of 40. Who's better out of them? Take your pick. I think it's, for me, I think Zlatan and Modric at the age of 40. And I honestly think Modric is the best one out of the lot. I think the level, because we have to look at the position he plays as well. As a balanced player in front of the defense, ball winner, the amount of space he covers, his intelligence, his tackling, his ball winning, his passing, his creation. I think Modric is the best out of the lot.
His energy as well. Like, we're talking, and also I think I agree with you. The position is important here. Not that I want to take anything away from Maldini, but it's much easier to go to play as an old player going into your 40s as a defender than it is as a midfielder. And I would even say it's even with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, it's easier to play as the kind of attacker and attacking role that Zlatan used to play, where you don't have to run so much. You're just there as a big guy. You can still be a dominant player in the box. You can just play back to goal, bring others into play, that kind of role. Where again, but to play at central midfield, the ground you need to cover, you have to do attack and defend. You have to win the ball. And Modric has been amazing even at winning the ball. His pressing, I'm like, if you take that into account, I think there's definitely even more of an argument, because it's much harder to be a top midfielder at the age of 40 than it is to be a top defender and to be a top kind of, say a target man striker at the age of 40. So I have no words for Luka Modric anymore. It's in today's age. I think I said this last week. Like, if you said to me, name the individuals in 2026 that you want to watch football, you want to watch a football match just to watch that individual play, and I would struggle to name you 5. Luka Modric is one of them. Now, back in the day, 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I could have named you about 30, 40 players playing at one time that I could say, yeah, I want to watch that football match just to watch that player play. I could have probably named you 20 Italian attackers at one time during the 90s. I would say, I want to watch this game for Totti, for Mancini, for Vialli, for Baggio, for Del Piero, I could have gone on and on. Nowadays, there's no individuals you want to watch. No one. Because they're all playing for throw-ins and corners. So it's, just God protect Luka Modric. That's what I say.
Agreed. He's fantastic.
But yeah, moving away from Modric, I mean, shout out to Estupiñan. I mean, he's had a bad season at Milan, but he will go down in derby history now. He'll go down.
Yeah, a goal in the derby forgives many a sin, and especially if that goal in the derby is a winning goal, as this was. It was a great finish. He had a good game. I think this he can build off of this. This gives him a lot of credit in the bank.
I thought Milan's defense was like you said. I thought they were, apart from those kind of mistakes as a whole, I thought the defense was very good. I thought De Vinter was good coming in for Gabbia. I thought Pavlovic was absolutely outstanding in his physical battle with Pio Esposito. I actually enjoyed that battle. Again, you don't get too many of those. We don't get too many in modern football. We don't get many one-on-one battles anymore in football. It's, before, back in the day, it always used to be, who's going to win this battle? This attacker against this defender, or this winger against this fullback. You don't get that much anymore. So I enjoyed watching that it was one, man against man. I thought Pavlovic was great against Pio. He really dominated physically against a player that physically is very, very, very tough to play against. We want to praise him. And Leao, even though he was very wasteful, I actually think he did do a good role tactically in this game. I thought he was very selfless. His finishing was terrible, but I thought at least tactically he played a good role in this game.
I agree. It was a very good team effort, and yeah.
But what I want to say is kind of what we've said before, this is pretty unbelievable, really. I mean, when you compare Milan against Inter this season, Milan's record against the big teams this season, they've beaten Inter in both games. They beat Napoli in the one game they played. They drew away at Juventus in the one game they played against them. A win and a draw against Roma, a win and a draw against Como, a draw away against Atalanta. I mean, their record against the big teams is absolutely fantastic. Is a Scudetto winning record against the big teams. It's absolutely magnificent. If you just showed that to someone without looking at the rest of the games and at the end of the season and said, look, this is Milan's record against the big teams. How do you think they got on in the Serie A this season? You would say 10 times out of 10, you would say, I think they've won the league. So it's unbelievable, really, that they're not going to win the league, that they're 7 points behind, because it's the small teams, again, that have killed Milan Scudetto. They're losing to Cremonese and Parma, drawing with Pisa, Genoa, Sassuolo, and Parma in the other game. It's unbelievable, really. But I guess it's kind of shows that this is the Allegri weakness as well, that playing against teams who come at them, like Inter did, they've been great. But playing against the small teams who sit back and you have to break them down and show other qualities and show those patterns of play, they haven't been able to do it. So it's a very strange one. Even if you look at the number of games lost, Milan have lost 2 games this season, one of which they shouldn't have lost against Parma. Well, they shouldn't have lost either of them against Cremonese either in the first game of the season. And Inter have lost 5 games. And Inter at 7 points clear, having lost 3 games more, and there's still 10 games to go, and Inter have lost 5 games, and they're going to struggle to the Scudetto. So it's quite, it's weird in a way, isn't it? It's quite strange, but strange season.
But we'll see. I mean, it is a very strange season. It's not a very good Serie A. I think we can say that, and I think we discussed this last week or the week before, where we discussed whether or not, is it because Inter are good? Is it because the rest are bad? Is it because whatever? I think it's a little bit of all of the above. Inter have the best team in the Serie A. It's not a very good Serie A. And they're the team that have enough quality to overcome the lesser teams, and that's why they've won as many games as they have, and they won a lot of games. I mean, before this game, they had 43 points out of 45 in the last 15 games, I think it is. Yeah. So that's very good, and I think many things can be true at once here. In terms,
I would say, Nima, though, that I think we do have to recognise that Inter were very much weakened going this game. If you go into a big game, any big game, including a derby, with both your 2 attackers, Thuram and Lautaro, out. Yes, Pio's been excellent this season. Bonni's been excellent. I thought Bonni was awful in this game. It's the worst he's played for Inter. Yeah. You're gonna, and then you don't have Çalhanoğlu, your midfield linchpin. You've still got a right wing back who I think next season, I don't think he'll be Inter's. At best, he'll be a backup if maybe Inter might even try and sell him at the end of the season. So I think they were weakened. I think they were weakened heavily, and they losing that amount of experience. Thuram, Lautaro, Çalhanoğlu. Okay, Dumfries has been out for a while, and they've still done well without him. But those are big players, big characters. To not have all 4 of them, I think we do need to take that into account. And also, there's always moments that decide games. You've got to remember that Mkhitaryan misses, although it was a great run. Okay, it was a bit of a Red Sea parting for him, but it was a great run. That finish, honestly, anybody that's played football will tell you that miss is almost unmissable. If you've been on the pitch, you've literally it's harder to miss that than it is, because he's got the whole goal on both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a poor finish.
Yeah.
It's a very poor finish, and he stabs at it.
Yeah. And then
so should we talk?
I was going to say 30 seconds later, Milan score, and those kind of moments decide games. That's a crushing blow mentally to any team. You go from 1-0 up to 1-0 down within the space of 30 seconds. So it's Was there anything else you wanted to?
Yeah, let's talk about. I want to talk about Inter now and focus more on Inter. And there's a couple of things I want to say. So after 6 games against Juve, Inter, and Napoli, against Juve, Milan, and Napoli, and again three big matches in the Champions League: Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, and Arsenal. 9 matches, 1 win, 1 draw, 7 losses. Those numbers don't lie, and it's, again, coaching experience matters, and it's unacceptable. Everybody's saying that Inter are going to cruise to the title. I don't think they're going to cruise, but they have to. They absolutely have to win it now. Now the pressure is back on, because if Chivu, Inter managed to squander a 10-point lead with this fixture list left that Milan and Inter have, in 11 matches, let me put it to you as clearly as I can. Marotta, Chivu, and those players should be skinned alive if they squander this league and lose the league to Milan. It will be, forget 5th of May 2002, forget everything else. This is the Inter Beffa to end all Inter Beffa. There's no discussion. It's unforgivable if they squander this. So now it's up to Chivu to see if he can actually rally them again. The previous 30 matches suggest that they should be able to do that. That he's able to project the calm needed and all of that. But they have Atalanta on the weekend. They have Fiorentina away before the international break. Then they have Roma and Como and so on. So they're in a bit of a tough run. They're playing once a week, so it shouldn't stress them too much. They have time to prepare. Now Chivu has to show that what he's done so far this season is not just by chance. That's the first point. The second point is, it's Bastoni's injured. Now he's going to be away.
Do we know how bad that is?
Well, they said it's a tibia issue. They've not said anything more than that. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's repercussions for Italy. I mean,
yeah. But
I mean, with the playoffs, and Calafiori got injured as well at the weekend. So this is potentially fucking disastrous for Italy.
Yeah,
they're both injured.
And the second thing is Barella as the captain. It's not just that he plays poorly. He's not captain material right now. I mean, the moaning, the negativity, the lack of leadership, the just losing your head, the just dropping and going around moping like a child. No. They need to have a serious conversation what to do with Barella. Which kind of leads me to the third point I want to say.
Can I just say on Barella, no goals in 5 months, no assists since November. All this in a team that has destroyed this league and has got 43 points from 45 since the previous Milan derby, and he's posting those numbers. I know it's not just about numbers. In fact, the performances though back up those numbers if you've watched him play. So I don't know what has happened to Barella. He's just turned 29. Maybe, as we've said, and we've questioned, maybe it's just a case of, he's past his peak now, and he's on the decline.
Or maybe I want to wait before I say anything conclusive about that. I think there's an issue of mental and physical burnout that I want to see how they handle and if it is that or not. Which leads me to another point as well. With Marcus Thuram, he's supposed to be one of the leaders of this team, and he's been anything but. And I look at Inter overall, and I look at this Inter side, and even if they win the double, even if they win the Scudetto, they have to now seriously start thinking to the future and rebuild properly in the summer. Because otherwise, this Scudetto, for me, looks a little bit like Arne Slot after winning the Premier League after Jurgen Klopp. And the wheels could come off, because now the way that Chivu plays is been read. It's been completely found out. In order to continue playing like this, and it's clear they want to play like this, he wants to play a 3-4-2-1. He wants to play with a higher defensive line. He wants to press higher. You have to back him. You can't stopgap another year like this. And it's they really, really need to address this in the summer. There's no more ifs, ands, or buts. They have to sort this out. And the final point I want to make on Inter is this is it's the cycle. I don't know where to go from here, even if they invest, because I expected the cycle the winning cycle ended after the PSG when all that happened. They were able to manage it really well so far this season domestically. We have to give them, we have to be honest about that. They can still win a double. They're 7 points clear with 10 points. And let's not draw too many big conclusions. It's the reaction is just as important as the result. And so far they've reacted well. So we have to wait and see. But I think regardless, if they rejuvenate whoever they bring in, it's a changing of the guards. Çalhanoğlu, Acerbi, Darmian, Mkhitaryan, Fratesi, Sommer. That's a lot of fixing that needs to be fixed. And they can't afford to miss, like they have with someone like Luis Enrique, who at best has been mediocre. These are key positions. So Inter are at a crossroads, and that crossroads has to be addressed this summer.
Yeah, look, I think that at the end of the day, in terms of getting read, I think they've already been read by the big teams, but it hasn't mattered. So, I don't see that being an issue going forward, because the smaller teams next season won't be good enough to do that to Inter. But yes, absolutely, against the big teams, whether or not that has any impact next season, the Scudetto race, I'm not sure, not based on this one, but certainly in the Europe, in Champions League. I predicted it before the Bodo Glimt game. I didn't necessarily think Inter would go out to Bodo Glimt, but I said it before the Inter game on this pod. I said I can't see Inter going deep in the Champions League, because I think that they're too easy to score against and create against. So I think that is... But then that comes over to a bigger talking point about Italian football as well, and whether Italian teams can actually, at this stage, actually do anything in the Champions League anymore. But that's a bigger question. Let's move on to Napoli, though. Napoli win 2-1 against Torino. Some of the injured players are coming back now. Gilmour started. Anguissa on at half-time. De Bruyne even came back after many months out. He came on in the last 12 minutes. I still maintain Napoli would have challenged, though, for this Scudetto. I'm not saying they necessarily would have won it, but Napoli would have challenged to win this Scudetto without all these injuries. I really believe that. And we're now starting to see, Napoli starting to put together consistent results now. And I think we're going to see a good end to the season for Napoli. And, we're also seeing promising signs for next season, certainly offensively. With Napoli, I think Alisson and Santos is such an exciting player. Actually, we're talking about Modric, about players that you want to watch play. Alisson Santos is a really exciting player to watch individually. Like, he runs at players, he beats his players, he's quick. He gets you off the edge of your seat. Yes, his end product is not the best, and he'll need to improve that, but his ceiling is very high. And so far at Napoli, his end product has been a lot better, certainly than it was at Sporting. So it's looking good. I mean, I think Pagliari makes a bad mistake for his goal, but it's he's really great to watch. Höjlund is growing. We're seeing it now consistently. His all-round game, his hold-up play, his back to goal, his physical strength with his back to goal, the way that it really is like watching Lukaku now. It really is. And that is... It used to annoy me a little bit when you used to say that, because you didn't say it. You used to say, well, I can see Conte doing this with Höjlund, making the Lukaku. It annoyed me a little bit, because it's kind of such an easy thing to say. Oh, just because Conte's done it with Lukaku, he's going to do it with Höjlund. And it was but he's done it. He's done it with him. You can see it. The way that he's backing into his man and the physical strength he's showing, and to see what he did to Isaac Kiem, who, let me tell you, is one of the strongest defenders physically. Yeah. And it was a scandalous decision, that. But regardless, the way that even if he illegally fouled him, which he didn't, but even if he illegally fouled him, that's still impressive to barge a player, get a player onto the floor at the strength of it. So his physical strength, the way he's applying his physique, so impressive. He could have scored 3. His finishing wasn't the best in this game, but yeah, what he's doing with Höjlund is amazing. So I think that Napoli can, obviously this season's over for them, but I think Napoli can really look ahead to next season with some excitement. I think there's one thing they do need to sort out. We saw that again with the Torino goal. They just need to sort out their defense. They need to sort out their centre backs for next season. They need to and even their fullback position. They just need to sort out that defense for next season. They need to take a long, hard look at themselves, their defense, and say, right, who do we want to stay? Who's going to leave? What system are we going to play with? Are we going to play a back 3 or back 4? And that's what they need to do in the transfer market. Because I think that everywhere else, I think they're in the midfield and the attack, even if some of the midfielders are getting a little bit older, in the midfield and the attack, there's lots of quality, there's lots of options, and they're really well set up for next season. I just think they need to look at that defense and think, right, what are we going to do? I think they probably need to bring in a one centre-back, new starting centre-back. Ask themselves questions on Buongiorno. What do we do with him? Boikma, do we persist with him for another season? And then the fullback positions, right back, left back, or right wing back, left wing back. What do we do there? Because other than that, I think they're really well set up now for next season.
They are, and it's going to be interesting to see what Conte can do. I still think that they will. I don't expect them to catch Milan. I still think that Milan will be able to finish second, but I think it'll be tighter. I think Napoli are going to cruise to that third spot, and I think the distance to second won't be that much. But yeah, the reason I said
they're playing Milan
exactly
in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think it depends. When that match is, I think that will have its own kind of story when we reach it. It depends on how many points Milan have upwards, how many points Napoli have downwards, and so on and so forth. But the reason I said that about Höjlund wasn't just that he's big or that I was making some sort of, A plus 1 plus 1 equals 2. No, it's because the kind of player that Höjlund is, the characteristics he has, and how Conte is good at getting players who are technically limited, but with a specific physical characteristic. If the players are able to learn and interpret the role that he wants them to do, he can make them outshine their quality, their technical quality on the pitch, and that's what he's done his entire career with players like that. And I think Höjlund is a very typically a Napoli Conte player, and I'm not, so that's why I said it at the time, and it's really playing out, and I really hope that Conte stays. I really hope that that they decide to continue this project, because I think it would be the wrong move at this point. They've had a bad season. They still can get an equal or even beat the point tally they had last season. I don't think they will, but I think they'll be thereabouts, which goes to show that, well, maybe the injuries was the main reason, and they have to have a look at that. So I think their post-season analysis will be colored by how these last few games go. So no, I think Napoli are in a good place. They in the sense that there's a little bit of calm. They've accepted that they're not going to win any trophies. The Champions League was a debacle. They should have done better in the Coppa Italia. They should have done better in the Serie A. However, very conditioned by the injuries. It's going to be interesting to see how Conte and Napoli interpret that match against Milan, if Milan are in a Scudetto race, and where they are, and so on.
Yeah, let's move on to the top four race, because this is so tight now. Because after Roma lose to Genoa, Como and Juventus winning, now there's only 1 point separating them. Roma and Como are level. It's Como versus Roma this weekend, and Juventus are 1 point behind. So it's all up for grabs now. Roma, very, very bad performance. Really bad. As bad as they played all season. They looked tired. They created virtually nothing in this game. 0.35 XG. Genoa, 2.75 XG. Everything was bad about Roma's performance. All three departments, the defense, the midfield, the attack. They defended badly. They let in back 2 bad goals. Stupid penalty given away by Pellegrini. I don't know what happened on the winner for Vitinha's goal. Strange one. Maybe those late Juventus goals that took the 3-1 to a 3-3, the last kick of the game that got that 3-3, maybe that hurt them mentally. I mean, they had a whole week to prepare for this game. So it's a bit strange that they would look so off it physically. They just looked flat, really flat. There was nothing there. And Genoa, kind of coached by Rossi, who is doing a great job there. He's really got them fighting. I think Genoa will stay up now. It was a deserved win for Genoa. And now Como have caught them now. 3 Serie A wins in a row for Como. They probably go into that game now against Roma at home as the favourites to win that game and make the 4th place their own.
It really is looking interesting, isn't it? And of course, of all people, the person to harm Roma is Daniele De Rossi, the man who bleeds Giallorossi. It's insane, isn't it? It's
it is, and Gasparini's former club as well, Genoa. So it's it's a strange one. I mean, Como are looking the most consistent of the teams. Roma and Como both have an easier run in than Juventus. Juventus have a tough run in. They've got 2 really tough away games against Milan and Atalanta, and Juventus are going to have to win at least one of those, I think, if they're going to try and, maybe they need 4 points from those 2 games. I don't know. So the fixture list still sides with Roma and Como. Roma are still in the Europe, which might take a bit out of them, even if they've got a very tough game against Bologna. They could easily go out in that game. That was a shame that our 2 Italian teams meet each other there. Como still in the Coppa Italia. Juventus are playing 1 game a week, but Juventus have a tougher run in. So it's all up for grabs. I think, if we're moving on to Juventus, I think it's interesting with Juventus that they were 60 seconds away from the end of the Roma game. They were 7 points off 4th. And you better stop typing them, or our listeners are going to start having a go at us again. 60 seconds from the end of the Roma game, Juventus are 7 points off 4th place and out of the Champions League. In the space of 90 minutes, or just over 90 minutes, they've gone from 7 points off 4th to only 1 point off 4th. It just shows you how football can change so suddenly, because they were gone.
Well, the Serie A is so. The Serie A is so this is why we love the Serie A, the drama. It's just back and forth and up and down, and this 4th spot is so representative of that. In the same, Roma, coached by Gasperini, gets their top 4 dreams shattered a bit by a former Roma legend coaching the club where Gasperini is a bit of a god. Inviting Juventus in, who are coached by Luciano Spalletti, who've did 2 stints at Roma, doing really well. It's just, you got to love the drama and all the side note of all this, and it's just it's so Serie A, isn't it?
It is.
But no,
it is. Yeah,
it is, and it's interesting. But yeah, I just want to say, Ndicka becomes the first central defender in Roma history, I think, in the 3-point era to score 3 Serie A matches in a row, which is that's an interesting note. I think he's been having an excellent season. He's definitely in my team of the season. I think he's been brilliant. And it's going to be interesting now, because you're looking at the games that are coming up for Roma, and it's that game against Como is such a mouth-watering prospect this weekend. And in between that, sandwiched in between that, they got the first leg of the Bologna-Roma in the round of 16 Europa League match. Then they have Lecce. Then after the international break, they have Inter. But I'm looking at, and then they have Atalanta, and then Fiorentina, and then the penultimate match day they have Lazio. So there's so much drama that this can go really any way. I still think that Juve will pull this off. I really do.
It's a tough one. Juventus just have to keep winning now. They've got Udinese away, Sassuolo home, Genoa home. They have to win these games, because then they have their really tough run in April, where they play Atalanta away, then Bologna, and then Milan away in successive matches. They have to go. They probably have to go into those matches maybe ahead of the other teams, and then they're going to have to get, like I said, they're going to have to win one of those 2 tough away games. So it's it's tough. It's very tough to call now. Roma have let Juventus back in, both by letting them equalise, and then by letting them come back, and then by losing that in. So Roma have opened the door for you. Juventus were gone. Like I said, Juventus were gone They were gone. 3-1 down. That's it. They're out. Season over.
Yeah,
and
they are.
They've
And
got
it's
a
like,
lifeline.
and it's like in 95 minutes of effective football, it's a 4-point swing in Juventus's favor from Roma's perspective.
No, 6-point swing. It's a 6-point swing. They've gone from 7 points to 1 point. You know, it's mad. But yeah, anyway, look, just a quick one on Juventus's performance. It was a comfortable win, 4-0, and it was a second half because it was 0-0 after half time, and this game changed when Jonathan David came off, and unfortunately, I think we can say it now. I think Jonathan David's Juventus career may be over. He showed again that he's not good enough as the 9. He came off at half time. Juventus played with a false 9 in the second half, which is quite damning. You go from a proper striker to a false 9 because you don't trust your actual striker. And what Spalletti said after the game, where he basically admitted that Juventus need another 9. Openda is done as well, obviously. Vlahovic will be back soon. He's actually back in training now. So I would expect Vlahovic, once he's fit, to probably play the last month of the season as the starting 9. There's even talk that Vlahovic may even end up staying now because Juventus want to kind of keep a little bit of continuity with some of the players, and we'll see if that's possible. I mean, he's on a big salary, even with a significant cut in the salary. I still think it's maybe a bit too much for Juventus, but we'll see there. But I think this might be it for Jonathan David, because without him, they blew Pisa away in that second half. And Jeremy Boga, who came on, put in another impressive substitute appearance, and he's been a great signing. He's been a big surprise for Juventus. He's been really good in almost every game he's come on as a sub. He's dangerous. He beats this man. He creates chances. He's scoring goals. He scored now two goals in a row, including that key one against Roma. He's exciting to watch as well. So yeah, I think Juventus should definitely keep him. Definitely keep him. I think he's the perfect vice Yildiz. He's somebody that you doesn't expect to play for Juventus, but when he comes on, he's dangerous. And as for Yildiz himself, he put in a great finish, and something that I've been very critical of during this bad run of Juventus when they start to fall away from fourth, is that Yildiz, as amazing as he is, and as a talent and the potential that he has, his finishing is not good enough, and he needs to. And the way he buried that chance, that's what we need to see more of Yildiz. Not only to see him move on to that next level that we know he will reach, but also Juventus need him to start putting these chances away from now until the end of the season if they're going to get fourth. He needs to be burying these chances now. And that's how Juventus get fourth.
No, they do, but it's going to be difficult as hell for them. I don't know about the Jonathan David thing. I still think it depends on if Spalletti stays before they make a decision on him. But yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I think they'll have a lot of problems offloading him because of the high wages he's got. Vlahovic, we have to wait and see. Openda's been a disaster. Again, Juventus and the transfer window. They spend money, but they miss every single one. And it's just, except for maybe Kefren Turam, which a lot of people have begun to criticize as well. But yeah, no, I think the Jonathan David situation is definitely one to watch. I think his future hinges on whether Juventus make fourth, because I think Spalletti staying kind of hinges on that as well.
Let's move on to very quickly the rest of the fixtures. So Atalanta 2, Udinese 2. And that's it for Atalanta's top four chances now, you think. Although they're still only 5 points off fourth. So you wouldn't, the way this crazy Serie A season's gone, if Juventus go from 7-1 in 90 minutes, you wouldn't rule out Atalanta chasing that back. But yeah, very disappointing after beating Napoli and then that Champions League result. They these last two games really disappointing. It's all about the cups now, isn't it? Really, for Atalanta, probably. They're the favourites to reach the Coppa Italia final after drawing 2-2 at Lazio last midweek away against Lazio. And now they play Bayern, which we'll come to in a minute, the Champions League, last 16, first leg at home. So, yeah, I think it's just about the cups and just making sure they reach Europe. I think top four is too hard for them now, especially with their fixture. Their fixture is the hardest out of all the teams at the top of the table. They have the hardest running by a mile. And these were the easy games that they were supposed to win before that running. So, yeah. They're done.
I think Atalanta will be kicking themselves for losing these matches and drawing these matches because Sassuolo and 2-2 on the weekend. It's not a good situation for them against Udinese because 6 points there, they're right in it, and so they'll be kicking themselves. And I agree with you. I think they are.
It would be fourth with 6 points.
Yeah, it's or 5 points more, wouldn't it be? 3 points against Sassuolo.
It would have been level. Yeah.
It would have been level. So I think that's a bit of I think they'll be kicking themselves. But as for so I think they'll be focusing on the Coppa Italia. They need to be focusing on the Champions League because they got Bayern Munich coming up. They could pull off a historic upset. They have nothing to lose. No one is expecting anything from them.
We'll come on to that. We'll come on to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I'll just read out the other fixtures
I want to talk about Como a little bit as well because I think that's an interesting one as well.
Well, go on then. Tell me what you want to say about Como.
No, look, it's the way that they continue to deliver results. They're in great form. The game against Inter in the Coppa Italia was just basically, both Chivu and Fabregas just punted that. It was basically, let's deal with this later when we have to. Right now, we have more important things. They have a good fixture list other than Inter, Napoli, and Roma. They have games that they should win, and they probably will win when they're in form. This is really interesting how far this can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Lecce 2, Cremonese 1, Bologna 1, Hellas Verona 2, Fiorentina 0, Parma 0. So Lecce, massive win in the relegation race in the game against Cremonese. It means that Lecce are now moved 3 points clear from Cremonese, who now occupy the third relegation spot on their own, Nima. And as I've been saying for about a month now, more than a month, since probably the second week or third week of January, I've been saying Cremonese are going to get relegated if they don't sack Davide Nicola because they're in complete freefall. Why they've stuck with him, I don't know. We're seeing no signs at all of anything, of any response. They're going down, Cremonese. I can't believe that they've stuck with Nicola. I can't believe it. And now they're on 24. Fiorentina drew. They're on 25. Lecce are on 27. So it's one of those three, but it's looking very likely that it's going to be Cremonese, the way the trend is going.
That is a massive, massive win for Lecce. And I wonder if that's not the game that when everything is said and done, that's the game that they look back on and go, we saved ourselves from relegation by doing that. It was simply fantastic for them. It's fundamentally important for them to win that game, and it's just the relegation that last spot is really becoming interesting. I mean, Hellas won as well. I still think they're a little bit too far away to be able to seriously do anything, but Cremonese are in a world of trouble. They really are, and it's such a shame because they started so well, and we were, I really enjoyed them. But
so did I.
I wonder.
It's just gone flat, and they just had nothing in attack, and the defense hasn't been bad, but they needed a new manager. That's all they needed. They just needed a new manager bounce in January when things were going bad. And even if you bring in Nicola back in 3 months' time, or bring him back at the start of next season, this is where the old school traditional Italian way of management actually would have helped them. Just sack a manager, get that bounce. And I don't know why they've stuck with him. I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah.
There's still 10 games to go. Sack him now. Bring someone in. They've still got a chance. But yeah, it's incredible really, because they were miles clear. Kind of looking at November, they were like 10 points clear of the drop zone, and now they've just completely plummeted. And Lazio Sassuolo on Monday evening. Champions League though, Nima, and Europe. Atalanta versus Bayern Munich. Atalanta at home on Tuesday. They're the last remaining Italian team in the Champions League. I can't see them going through, to be honest. I think they're probably going to go out, but let's have some fun. Let's see what they can do. Let's go for it. But I can't make any kind of case for Atalanta to go through. I've heard Harry Kane has suffered from a little bit of an injury, so we'll see. If he doesn't play or he's not at full fitness, maybe they might have more of a chance, because I think that he ties everything together as he does for England. I think he's so good. For me, he's the best. He's the best number 9 in the world. He's the most complete.
Yeah, agreed.
Most complete number 9 in the world, I would say. I think if you take him out, or you've got a half-fit Harry Kane, then that could maybe give Atalanta a bit more of a chance. But
I agree. But Atalanta have nothing to lose. Literally have nothing to lose. They have everything to play for. And they don't need to, they just need to manage this game. I mean, Bayern have one way of playing, and they're going to go for it. That means that there's going to be chances for Atalanta if Atalanta are able to absorb the pressure and hit Bayern on the counter. But so they have nothing to lose. They need to go in with that attitude and be disciplined, be tactically disciplined. Basically, I want them to have the same approach and same mentality and same game management as the return leg against Borussia Dortmund, because I thought they were outstanding in that game, where they played a near perfect game. If they can do that and give themselves something to play for in the second leg, of course they're not favorites, far from it. Everything says Bayern should win. But we've seen Atalanta perform miracles before, and I wouldn't put it past them either. So, let's hope that they can do something, because if they were, this would be an unbelievable miracle. Like, Bayern Munich are one of the favorites to win the Champions League, and if they are able to knock them out,
I think the favorites, I would say, based on form this season and the way they've been playing at home in Bundesliga and in Champions League. I think they are, because I think everybody else in the Champions League, if you look at PSG, and they lost to Monaco at the weekend, they don't look right.
No, season. There's something, it's not clicking for PSG like it did last season. And it's they don't. I don't think they'll win it.
It's a hangover from winning that Champions League last season. The way that, I won't say.
Well, they were outstanding for 7-8 months last season.
Yeah,
so,
they were conditioned well last season, and this season they're not so well conditioned. Let's say that. Right.
Bologna Roma. I mean, that is going to be interesting, isn't it?
It's a big shame. It's a big shame, because I think that it's not a particularly amazing Europa League in terms of the level of the other teams. So it's very, very frustrating that these two teams meet in the last 16, and we're going to lose one of them. Nothing to do with getting the extra Champions League spot, because that's not going to happen now. But it's just a shame, because I think that both teams, even as badly as Bologna have been playing for many months now, I think they could have gone further. Italiano's style of football. And I don't think this is a given that Roma win this tie, because I think that Roma have got more of a focus on, and then Gasparini's even admitted this, they've got more of a focus on getting top 4 in Serie A. So it wouldn't surprise me if Roma rotate a little bit and that affects them. So I think this is actually quite a hard tie to call, actually. Bologna against Roma. Italiano's shown himself to be very good in these kind of games, in these kind of ties, tactically. His record speaks for itself in cups. And Gasparini, maybe the motivation for Gasparini isn't there as well. He won this Europa League 2 seasons ago, even though it was with Atalanta. So, I don't know. I think this is hard to call. I think it could go either way.
I think it's really hard to call as well, and I agree with you. It's a shame, but it's going to be interesting to see where they go. I think from a Serie A perspective, I think Roma have a bigger chance of doing damage
Winning
in the
it.
Europa League than Bologna do. So from that perspective, maybe I hope that maybe Roma go through, but because I would love to see a Serie A side reach a semi-final of Europa League. I think that's important. But for the coefficient. I mean, it would be nice to have, to see Roma maybe reach the final, because again, if they don't finish top 4 in the Serie A, if they win the Europa League, they can actually that will get them to the Champions League. So that would also secure them. So yeah, we'll see. But it's an interesting one. Definitely going to be interesting to see how Roma manage this game and how Italiano goes for this game. Equally, Fiorentina against another Polish team in the Conference League.
God, do you want to pronounce the name?
No.
Fiorentina versus this is my guess of how it should be sounded. Fiorentina Rakov Czestochowa.
Yeah,
it sounds like a flower company that we get our flour from, the cake shop. That's what it sounds.
I think for me it sounds like a vodka brand.
Or vodka, yeah, that's what I mean. It sounds like a brand of a food brand or a vodka brand. Yeah. I mean,
they have to. I mean, come on,
they have to win this game. They're at home first game, and then Although as we saw in the last round, they nearly messed that one up, didn't they? They were 3-0 up away from home, and they only just made it. It went to extra time, and so nothing is a given with this Fiorentina team. Moise Kean's got an injury as well. Another concern for Italy ahead of these playoffs. On a separate point on injuries, like Italy needs to get with the times with injury prevention and conditioning of players. This is a crisis. This isn't just a Napoli crisis or a club crisis at certain clubs. This is across the board. This speaking to people, and again we spoke about Calafiori in the interview that he gave, and about how they're overtrained in Italy, whereas in England, in between matches, it's more about recovery, and training is more about tactics and video and technical drills rather than physical drills and hard physical training and running. And that's just one aspect. Obviously, there's the condition, the state of the training facilities and nutrition and all these kind of things where we've fallen behind the rest of the world. But seriously, it's just ridiculous, the number of injuries. We're going into these playoffs with Italy now in a couple of weeks' time, and the number of players that we're scared about that might be injured or missing the games. Calafiori and Buongiorno both injured over the weekend. So did what's his name? Vergara got injured as well. Moise Kean's been playing with this chronic problem for months now. And these are just the Italian players. I mean, it's killing us, as well. It's not just about quality. I think it's also about, because sometimes I see, like when Premier League teams play, and I look at them on paper, and I think some of these players are not that great. And as we said before, this is not an amazing era for football. And I look at some of these players on paper. These players playing for Premier League clubs, and yes, they're stronger than our Serie A teams, but they're not. Some of the players on those teams are not that great. If you go to a World Cup, but they're just much better trained and much better conditioned and physically in much better condition in games.
Italy's fallen behind on that, and that's something Italy used to be fantastic in, and that's a concern. That's something they should be able to bridge that gap pretty soon if they can find the right people to get in there. But that's a big ass if. So as we've noticed with the Serie A.
Yeah, we're talking about big asses. Serie ASS of the week, along with Baggio and Premface of the week. Let's do that now. So we'll start off with Baggio of the week and Italy's rugby team. Italy's rugby team beat England's rugby team for the first time in history in the Six Nations. Amazing story. And it's pretty incredible, really. It says a lot for the state of Italian football that right now Italy's rugby team is better than Italy's football team. And if you've watched Italy in these Six Nations, we are now a world force. We really are. We nearly beat Ireland in Dublin away a few weeks ago. Deserved to win that game. Beat Scotland. Beat England. I mean, this is a team with world-class players. Tommaso Menicello is a real special talent. He's one of the best players in the world. And we're actually in Italian sport. We're in something of a golden generation of Italian sport. Tennis, we're the best tennis nation in the world. Winter Olympics, one of the best in the world. Rugby, even in cricket, we nearly beat England. But we're great at almost every sport except the sport we're supposed to be good at, which is
but that's been a long time coming, actually, because I remember back when Italy's rugby team really started and they started going for it, and I noticed that, and I remember reading articles from journalists saying at the time that, well, if football doesn't watch out, it's going to start losing the interest of Italians, and more people are going to go to other sports. That was 10-15 years ago. I think we're kind of seeing that now, that people are a little bit fed up with with Italian football, in Italy even. They're tired of the dysfunction, they're tired of the scandals, they're tired of the corruption, they're tired of the incompetence. And then they look to other avenues that haven't been historically as big, and they see that, well, that dysfunction and corruption doesn't exist there. So they go that way. And that's why I think Italy has succeeded as much as it has. And that's a cause for concern. I would be very, very worried if I was in Italian football, not just internationally and their outlook to the world, but also domestically. They're losing the attention of young people. They're losing the attention of young people in Italy to other sports. And to be honest, who can blame them?
Who can blame them? Yeah. I agree. I think this is something I've had a lot of discussions with people about. And I think that in one way, this gives us hope because it shows that it's not just a cultural thing. It's not just, oh, well, culturally, this is how it is in Italy. You know, we know the age-old problems in Italy with the way that, you know, the relaxed attitude, the bureaucracy, that you just can't get things done in Italy. You can't build. They're resistant to change and all this kind of things, which to an extent is true. But we've seen in Italian sport that, you know, actually, if you have the right people in charge and you have the right project and you carry it out with competent people, that you can build something great. And that's exactly what they've done. What they've done with the tennis is incredible. The number of top-class, world-class, especially in the men's game, tennis players that we've got, it's just a conveyor belt. It's an abundance of incredible tennis players. It's like Italian footballers in the 90s. It's one after the other, and we have the best, or the joint best player in the world in Yannick Sinner. But we have some other, you know, exceptional talents as well. And you know, the rugby team is really growing. It's definitely it's a top 8 nation now in the world, and we're beating the big teams. And we're not just doing smash and grab wins. We're you know, you watch the games and we're playing on their level. And our best players are getting bought by the best clubs in Europe. You know, so, and then, you know, look at the Winter Olympics. I mean, we're doing so well in these other sports. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that the reason why is that in these other sports, they're not long established sport. When you've got an establishment sport or a long established sports, you've got the people that are in power that have been there for years and years and years, and they've remained in power, and the power structures remains the same. It's like having a business that's been in a family business that's been going for 100 years, and the people that run that business, it's just gone down from one family in the family generation to the next, to the next, to the next. These newer sports like tennis, like rugby, they don't have that. They started at a time when, you know, so I think that, like I said it a few weeks ago, we need to purge everyone from Italian football. All of them. Purge all of them. Send them all to Siberia and get a new people in charge. That's what we need. That's what we need to do, because that gives me hope, because that suggests that, yes, if we get those new people in charge, we have a chance. And yes, these other sports aren't so established worldwide that it's not going to be as easy, because, you know, football is the biggest sport in the world. It's not easy when you've got such a big gap to bridge, which you maybe don't have those gaps in the other sports. But it shows that we can do it. It's how we do it is the question.
Yeah. I just want to, for me as well, Baggio of the week, Daniele Doveri. I think he's been, anyone who's listened to this pod for many years knows that I think he's been the best referee in the Serie A for many, many years. And I think he showed that once again. He is the best referee, not just in Serie A, but probably in all of Europe. The way that he handles tough games, big decisions, his read on all big decisions is spot on. I don't want to hear any stupidity about that handball. It's not a handball offense. It doesn't fall within the remit of the laws of the game prescribed as what constitutes a handball offense. The arm is by his side. He doesn't make his silhouette bigger. He doesn't make, it's not in an unnatural position. As per the way that the laws of the game are to be applied and interpreted, that's not a handball offense. That's just as simple as it is. And people complaining about VAR, well, VAR can't intervene when it's not an error. It has to be a clear and obvious error. There was no clear and obvious error. And people don't know if the VAR spoke and communicated with Doveri. If Doveri saw that situation, interpreted it correctly, then the VAR can intervene. So I don't want to hear anything about that. The counterpoint, though, is the lack of consistency, which is Rocchi. We saw the same situation in the not the same, but the very similar situation last season with Bisek and against Lazio, where a handball was where a penalty was given against Inter, which essentially cost them the Scudetto points wise because of a similar situation. That was the wrong call. Yesterday was the right call, and the reason for that is Rocchi. Rocchi doesn't know what he's doing. But Doveri is such a good referee, such an experienced referee, that he understands what he's supposed to do, that he doesn't need Rocchi. So I want to really give a shout out to Daniele Doveri. I think he's a fantastic referee. I love the way he officiated that game. No, it doesn't mean that he didn't make any mistakes. That's not the point. But the big calls he got right, he got them all right.
He let the game flow. He let the game flow.
Well. He keeps a consistent level in the game. He doesn't fall for stupid fouls. He falls for a little bit of diving here and there, but it's not like decisive. It's not the end of the world. Referees are going to make mistakes. But for me, the truly world-class player on that pitch, on that pitch was Doveri. I think Doveri, he was absolutely outstanding. And I really, really hope that his style of refereeing is the style that is the predominant style, the prevailing orthodoxy interpretation moving forward across the entire Serie A, because I want that level of consistency across the Serie A. I thought Doveri was outstanding yesterday. I think he's been outstanding for many years. He's the best referee in the Serie A. I hope he gets to play and he gets to do more international matches. He is head and shoulders above every single Serie A referee, and it's been like this for many years. I don't know why he doesn't get more international games. Maybe he doesn't kiss the right ass, but I don't care. He's the best referee. So I hope that I really, really was impressed by him. I loved how he handled the game, and the issue of the handball consistency with Bisek and the Ricci situation is that the Ricci situation was correct. The Bisek situation was incorrect. Because both of those, the arms are by the side, they don't make the silhouette bigger. It's not a handball offense in either case.
Yeah, we're talking about asses. Premface of the week. Take it away, Nima.
Jamie Carragher, our good dear friend, was asked by Sky Sport in this kind of choose between two players kind of thing, and he was like Sami Hyypiä against Van Dijk, and I don't know, I think it was Pepe Reina and Alisson, and of course he chose Van Dijk and Alisson. But when it came to Alexis McAllister and Jordan Henderson, he started mumbling as he does in Scouse, and then he went for Jordan Henderson.
Jordan Henderson over Alexis McAllister. I would pick Kevin McAllister over Jordan Henderson.
I'd pick Buzz McAllister over Jordan Henderson.
I'd pick the Wet Bandits over Wet Bandits. The who else? The Pigeon Lady.
Joe Pesci. Yeah, the Pigeon Lady. Yeah.
The Pigeon Lady. Oh man. Yeah. Donald Trump was in that second film, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in that second film. Yeah, in the hotel of I can't remember if it was the Astoria or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Serie ASS of the week. Right. So this was sent in by our listener Lara, who people know how to trigger me now. All they do, I get this from lots of my friends. They just send me Juventus's latest social media video, and it puts me in a bad mood straight away. So the latest one was Juventus did this video with their players as they were going to training, and they were asking each player, "How do you like your toast? How do you like it? How brown or how cooked do you like your toast?" And they held up this board, and it had all different types. So it had like lightly done, and then like right up to burnt, basically. And everyone was saying, "Oh, I like a A1. Oh no, I like B2. Oh, I like C4." Oh my god! I mean, it's just.
I love how this annoys you.
Just
I love how this annoys you.
What is this fucking shit? This?
The thing I love about this is how much it pisses you off. Like you and Adrian go really angry at this.
Like,
and
what?
It makes me so happy.
I mean, it's just. I mean, the other one. This is up there with that. The other one where they're asking all the Juventus players, "Do you wear socks in bed?" I mean, I want to know. I know people, and nobody will give me the answer to this. Even people that I know at Juventus, no one will answer me this question. I want to know who is number one, who is coming up with these ideas. Two, who is giving clearance to post these ideas, and three, who is responsible in terms of who is superior to these people and is just letting this go, because because they should all be sacked for this. I'm sorry, but this is just fucking embarrassing. Like, what is this shit? Seriously. It's just like, honestly, like I've been in the media for like 20 years, nearly 20 years. Now I've actually, I left my role in the media in December, and I've gone full time now with the family business, and I've gone Al Pacino and gone with the family business now. But I still do this podcast. But I've had a long experience in the industry where, I've been in charge of, creatively, editorial, what kind of content we're putting out. Honestly, if anybody ever came up with these ideas to me, I'd be thinking, right, you're in the wrong career here. Seriously. Because this kind of shit, it's just fucking embarrassing. It is just embarrassing. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, and I just love how much this triggers you. I live for it. I absolutely live for it. It's because
it's also partly because I come from a, maybe it triggers me more than others because, I come from a background in the last 20 years of doing content and coming up with ideas, and executing content. And, so I like to think that I know the difference between good and bad content. And this is just so embarrassing. It's just like, it does nothing other than just embarrass Juventus's name. And drives me mad. Anyway, another Serie A, Nima. Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi.
It's just with everything that's happening in the world. It's like when Juventus were at the White House, and when there was the last time there was a war going on. It's just it's so brain dead to do that, because you're taking a side in something you don't need to take a side in by standing there like a clapping seal and applauding whilst someone's making a political statement about a war that is illegal and should never have happened, and is essentially threatening to set the world aflame. And he's standing there, him and Suarez and Mascherano and the rest of them, they're standing there like grinning idiots and clapping seals. It was just unnecessary. And
this
even
is even
Mascherano,
worse. Yeah.
And Mascherano afterwards tried to walk it back and say, well, obviously this was agreed months in advance. Maybe we should have rethought it. You think? David Beckham wasn't there.
No, I was thinking that. Yeah, Beckham was.
So before people start yammering and barking like idiots in comments, David Beckham wasn't there
because
he has a brain.
Well,
he has a brain.
Well, I wouldn't say he has a brain, but his PR team, his
PR team has a brain.
Brand Beckham knows that this is a PR disaster.
You stay away from that.
So he stayed away. It still doesn't reflect good on him because it's his team. So I mean, it still does reflect. Let's not remove Beckham from this. By the way, it's his team. They shouldn't have been there. And so I'm not going to, but Beckham knew that having his face there. But this is worse than Juventus. I'll tell you why, for two reasons. With Juventus happened, I think, during the 12-day war, right? Now, this is obviously much more serious than that 12-day war. That's number one. But number two, if you watch the Juventus squad while that was happening, the Juventus players, that is, obviously the decision was made by probably Elkan and the others to do this. But the Juventus players, if you watch that they're not happy to be there. They look like hostages. They look like hostages during that situation. But they're all standing around there. Tudor has a face like, get me the hell out of here. And Tudor comes from the Balkans, so he's obviously very well versed in illegal wars. So he with regards to America, that is, and atrocities involving America. It's
so unnecessary. There was no
the
need
difference
for
is
it.
this.
There was
The difference
no
is
need
this.
for it.
Juventus's players are look like hostages. The players of Inter Miami, including Messi, including Suarez, Mascherano, they're all applauding, they're all smiling, they're all laughing, they're all jovial, they're enjoying themselves, they're really getting into it. So, there's a difference there. Do you know what I mean? It's not, don't get me wrong. If I was a player, I would have refused to go. But, that's me. But, the Juventus players, maybe they could have done that, maybe not. I don't know. But this was much
It's
worse.
unnecessary. It's unnecessary. There's no need. No one's asking you, Lionel Messi, to take a stand against anything, right? But it's unnecessary to insert yourself into this. And yeah, I've seen so many people across the world, hardcore Barcelona and Messi fans, who are like, that's it for me. Thank you for everything you've done, but goodbye. And it's just unnecessary. It's a PR disaster. You don't need to insert yourself into everything. And people, again, who are saying he didn't have a choice. David Beckham wasn't there. It's his team. He wasn't there. So, don't give me that shit. There was a choice. And then there's videos of them in the background, behind the scenes. Like, no, they weren't forced. No one shoved it wasn't like the CIA airdropped them in, put a gun in their mouths and dragged them to the White House. They did this by choice, right? It wasn't an extraction. They weren't, this wasn't like when they kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, okay?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, Messi went there by his own volition. So cut the crap. It was unnecessary. And by doing this, he really destroyed his legacy for millions of people.
Oh yeah,
even if
all the Arabic, Muslim world, but also people with just humanity will look at that and just think, what are you doing?
What are you doing? It's unnecessary.
During the middle of what's going on now,
if you want to be neutral, be neutral. Do you know what I mean? Like, then actually be neutral. But it is what it is.
Absolutely, it's incredible timing. I mean, to go and put yourself in that situation with a war criminal. Let's be honest, it's a war criminal. Well, it is
simple as that.
So it's what's going on. That's a war crime. What's happening? So it's Anyway, so on that note. We will we'll call it a day. We'll be back on. So Nima, you're going to do Champions
League
post-match reaction. Yeah.
Atalanta, Bayern Munich. And then we're doing a Q&A on Thursday, unless we're all dead in a nuclear holocaust. But watch this space. What can I say?
I need to go now. I need to somehow go to work now. Well, I've got 40 miles left on my car to get to work. I don't know if I'll have enough to get back because all the petrol stations are closed. So, the price of oil is
Yeah,
I don't know.
good luck. Good luck with that.
I might have to do what the Germans did during 1930 and take up my whole bank to pay for a loaf of bread just to get enough oil to get home.
Inflation, yeah. It's insane. We live in bizarre times. I remember when you said many years ago in private to me that this is the worst time ever to be a human being, and I thought I understood your point, but I disagreed. But yeah, no, I think you were onto something.
Let's say in England, there's people in that are in part of the world who would die to be in the situation that we are.
That's fair.
That's fair. With everything that's going on,
which is the irony of it.
But from an economic situation, it's dire. It's absolutely dire.
Basically, unless there's a nuclear holocaust, we'll be back on Tuesday for a post-match reaction.
Or if the electricity goes, there's going to be a shortage of gas and electricity. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
As long as we have electricity and not dead in a nuclear holocaust, we should be doing a post-match reaction on Tuesday, and we'll be doing a Q&A on Thursday. So make sure to send in your questions by tomorrow, Tuesday, so that we have time to prepare and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's leave it at that. We'll see you on Tuesday evening. Nima doing Atalanta Bayern Munich. Until next time, ciao, ciao.